Greetings, people of the internet. This is Scott with CircWorks, and today we are going to do a speed drawing for the cover of issue 3 of my comic book series, Young and the Dead. These are the first 2 issues, and they are available at my website at circworks.com. So yeah, gonna do this. This is the cover here, just a little preview, but I'm gonna show you the process and talk a little bit about the book, so let's go to it. Okay, welcome to this speed drawing video, and this is a cover to my comic book that I'm working on. It's called Young and the Dead, and it's kids versus zombies story. So if you're a fan of like Goonies or Monster Squad, E.T., all those, those cool adventure kid-centric films from the 80s, this is in the vein of those type of films. So of course it is a comic book and not a film, but I try to capture that kind of the look and feel of those movies, because I'm a big fan of that kind of stuff. So I always, my pitch for this book is pretty much always the same. And when you're given a pitch, it's usually good, something that people can relate to. So it's always good to combine it to a couple different things. So I just say it's Goonies meets Night of the Living Dead. So you've got your Goonies adventure type films, and then kind of the horror element, not quite as horrific as Night of the Living Dead, but there are similarities in the fact that there's in Night of the Living Dead they kind of held up in this farmhouse, and there's basically no escape, and there's a pretty good portion of this book where it's kind of a similar scenario, but they're up inside a treehouse and there's zombies surrounding them. It's a little spoiler alert if you haven't read the first issue and everything, but there's still a lot more you can, I think, get out of the book even knowing that. So anyway, what I'm doing here is roughly penciling out the cover. Now, this is a speed video, so no, I don't really draw this fast. This is sped up. This process for this book probably, I don't know, it took somewhere around 4 or 5 hours to pencil and ink and everything. Maybe a little longer, I don't know, somewhere around there. But yeah, this was a fun one. It was a little challenging, as you can see right now. I've got the kids on bikes, and this is something I've been wanting to do because that's a big, a really big part of, I think, some of these films that I'm talking about is kids riding around on bikes and stuff like that. You'll see that in E.T. and of course Goonies, and I think pretty much most of those films. I mean, that was just a big part of it. So so you will no doubtly hopefully make some some comparisons to that. But so anyway, this the character I'm drawing right now is Sam Young, and it's kind of a story of him and his little brother Tad, which are loosely based on myself and my little brother. So it's kind of a Mary Sue type story in some ways, but obviously I've never fought zombies or anything like that. But it is, I kind of model some of the personalities of the character on this character on myself or my brother or just kids I knew growing up with, and kind of thrown them into this adventure. Yeah, it's just a lot of fun reminiscing and coming up with the different scenes and everything from this comic. So how did this whole thing start, as far as Young and the Dead is a concept and everything? I was involved. If some of you guys remember way back, there was a podcast series called Art and Story, and they had at one point towards the end they had like a premium service where I forget exactly what it was called, but it was Art and Story. You paid a monthly fee, and there was a board and everything, and a forum and all that kind of stuff, and they were doing something. Kevin Cross, who was a host of that podcast, he came a little later on, so he's like the third host, but he had been doing some podcasting before that. And if you follow any of the 100 Days of Making Comics that I was on, he started that as well. So he started this thing called the Mini Comics Dump Truck, which was really cool, and it might be something that might be cool to return to. I think we're all kind of busy, doing other things right now, but it was just a group of people that would create a mini comic, and then at the end you would trade them, and everyone, you'd mail yours to everyone else participating. So at the end, you've got this whole stack of cool mini comics. So I was trying to think of an idea that would be, fairly simple, because the idea was just to do a um, 6 page like a mini series, or not a mini series, just a 6 page mini comic. I think, or 8 page. I guess you can't really have a 6 page comic, but it was like 8 pages of story, whatever. So, so I was trying to think of something simple, and I thought, well, I'll just do like a zombie story, just something, um, that wouldn't be too difficult. And I thought a zombie story, would be, not that complicated and fun to draw and everything. And I've never been like a huge zombie fan, and this book is, pays a little less attention to the zombies and more to the actual like kid characters and stuff. Um, but anyway, so I thought this would be easy, and then I started working on it, and I really started digging the characters and liking the scenario, and I'm like, hey, I kind of, maybe I have something here. And so I again just kept fleshing it out, and before I knew it, it wasn't just a 8 pager. It was like a full, 24 page comic book. And since then, I've done another issue, and I'm working on the third. So it's, it takes a long time for me to put these out. I'm trying to get it at a quicker pace, because my goal is ultimately I want to start running this as a web comic, but I want to have enough pages in the can, which I probably do now, so that I'm not sweating getting the next page out. Um, so so yeah, I want to run it as a web comic, and then eventually collect everything in a trade, and hopefully run a successful Kickstarter for that. But I think I need to lay the groundwork a little more with start running that web comic and getting some more people interested in it. Because right now I just have the paper versions, and also I want to be able to offer, if you're reading the comic and you don't want to wait for the next page to come out on the webcomic, then there'll probably be like a little button where you can order, a PDF of the, of a book or whatever, so you can kind of skip ahead if that's something you want to do. So it's sort of the plan, some of the direction that I'm going with this. But so let's see. So as you can see, I've moved on to the inking stages, and I use brush for pretty much everything. I don't really use a quill. I could never get the handle of a quill, but I can kind of find my way around with the brush pretty well. And then, for certain things, you'll see later on that I'll start getting my ruler out, and I use microns. Don't use the rapidograph, the technical pins anymore. I mean, I always hated those, but at the time that's what gave you the best line, a long time ago, before even people started doing things digitally, it was really the only way to get a really super, super fine line. Now you can do a lot of that digitally, but I still like kind of the hand drawn feel to it. So I use a micron for a lot of the straight edges and backgrounds and things like that. You got buildings and everything like that. But even things like you'll see when I'm adding like the spokes to the wheels. I think I did all those by hand just with the brush. Again, I want it to kind of look a little organic. And at the end of this, I'm kind of zoomed in. At the end, I'll zoom out and I'll kind of show you the finished piece. But yeah, this is real fun. It's very challenging drawing bicycles, but it was fun. I was happy when it was finished, and I think it turned out good. Um, and my whole idea for this was I wanted these kids on these bikes, but I wanted the bikes to be all decked out like they're ready to go out and face zombies and battle their way to their next kind of destination. So on the front of one bike, you've got like a remote control taped to it that's controlled. It's connected to a remote control car that's strapped with little M80s and things, and then I've got the basket on the bike, and there's a little scene where it shows them kind of like a little montage. I'm going to go back and rework it a little bit, but where they're all getting ready to go out and fight zombies, so they're suiting up their bikes. And some of this I took a little bit of an artistic license with, because when they're doing all this, they're in a garage, and actually there's only like 2 bikes in the garage. The other kids have their bikes out in the yard that they're going to go, cause a distraction and go pick them up. But sometimes with covers, you like to take a lot of artistic license. So there's another right there. You can see me filling in. It's a little like a spray can with a torch. So that's like one of the weapons. These are all, there you'll see on the ground like mallets and things like that, or wooden swords.
all that kind of stuff. Basically just taking whatever's in the garage and whether it's, they've got hockey sticks and, all the tools and things and figuring out how to use that to their advantage when they're out there fighting zombies. There's a scene where they kind of go out in the world, and it goes a little fast because I kind of had to condense it just for time to get it told in the span of these 22 pages of story. But I think when I collect in the trade, I'm gonna add some, like, I don't want to get all George Lucas-y on it, but add some extended scenes. And these are things that I want to put in, but sometimes you have to cut certain things, but some fun things. And, I definitely want to have a lot of extras when I do collect it in a trade. So for people that did just buy the single issues, there's going to be a lot of extra stuff in there. And I don't see any problem with that, really. That should, I really want to make it kind of a dynamite, like, really, really cool, like, trade when I collect the whole thing. But anyway, so this is about it. Just finishing up, blocking in some of the blacks and everything. Got most of the line art done and everything, but just wrapping this thing up. So, in what for you will be around 12 minutes of a screen, sped up drawing. Again, it took about 5 hours, so I sped this up quite a bit. I'm going to do some more speed drawing videos. They probably won't all be sped up this much because, but I do want more short form videos, because a lot of my videos I just do live and it's just me drawing, and sometimes they can be an hour of me drawing, which is good for people like me who want something to look at while they draw. But a lot of people just don't have the time, so I hope to start doing more of these type of videos. So anyway, we're getting to the end of this, so I just want to say, yeah, if you like what you're seeing and you might want to check out the book, again, you can get those books at circworks.com. There's a little store, I don't know if it's store or shop, one of the other two. There's a section, and there's a bunch of other stuff from Circworks, but the comics are in there. And there's two versions. There's a deluxe mini comic version, which is pretty much the same version I did for that mini comics dump truck, and then there's a standard one that's just kind of your basic print on demand type standard version. So if you like what you see, go ahead and check that out. And with that, I'll see you guys later, and thanks for watching, and that is all.